Alafia. Mind over matter. If it don't mind, it don't matter. People sometimes say you have to have an attitude. What does that mean? Have an attitude. Well, what it usually means is that you have to have a backbone. So people won't step on you, walk all over you, take advantage of you. It's a statement about being affirmative and speaking your mind and letting people know where you stand with dignity and self-respect. But wait a minute. What happens when people say you have an attitude? Just like that. Well, that implies that you either have a bad attitude, a wrong attitude, or just too much attitude. And when you have too much attitude, people don't want to deal with you. So, even if you're calm, cool, and collective, people could get under your skin and they could push your buttons. And this abuse can come from a pushy boss. It could come from a parasitic co-worker. It could come from an annoying friend, a stranger that just bothers you for no reason. Even other family members and rival siblings. Yes, believe it or not, don't be surprised. Family can bring out the worst in you instead of the best. So don't take crap from anybody, including family. Because if you do, you're creating a vicious cycle of attitude issues and problems. There are people who are naturally pushy, and they learn how to intimidate others out of their own fear and insecurity. They may have learned this pattern growing up. They experience an abusive relationship at some point in their past. And that's just the way they are. You know, that's the only way they know how to act. And don't get me wrong. You know, there's times when being assertive and demanding can get you what you want at times. But at what expense? If you have to constantly manipulate others and throw your weight around to get what you want or to get attention. What happens is, if you keep living like that, being demanding, you're creating stress inside yourself, inside your body. And it's not a healthy way to act all the time. But when you are a loving person, a gentle person, a kind person, patient person, you catch more flies with honey. People are drawn to you. Of course, if you're too nice, that won't pay off either. Because using too much honey over time turns bitter, like vinegar. And then you have to use ice cubes and put people on ice and give them the cold shoulder. For those who know how to read between the lines, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, when you have a so-called bad attitude, it repels and negates everything around you, and it affects people in a negative way. It makes them withdrawn and reluctant to help you. Because what you put out is what you get back in return. Every action has a reaction. It's easy to get what you want when you're not defensive, because you don't let things get to you personally. Sometimes, you know, we can't get upset when we don't get the things we want. And we do catch an attitude and we become emotionally upset about it. And that's reasonable because, you know, we're only human. But what happens is when we get like that, it could prove detrimental. And because it's a negative emotion. When you're dealing with negative emotions, it prevents you from seeing positive and possible solutions due to your stubborn attitude or a stubborn attitude. So this is what happens when you have the wrong attitude. You lose out. When your beliefs are based on fear and self-doubt. So, let's say when you ask the universe for a screwdriver, but you end up with a hammer instead, what do you do with it? Well, I suggest you hold on to it because you might need it to smash or break something. So that's important, to learn to work with what you have, to be flexible in order to attain your goals. And for this reason, you have to recognize your needs and your wants, to accept unforeseen opportunities and possibilities, which can later on turn out to be a blessing in disguise. And this will ultimately help you become receptive to attract nothing but goodness in your life when you have the right attitude. May everything be in chichi bachichi with you. And remember, what you resist persists. Don't fight it, light it. Until next time, Ache.